You are now listening to the NYYST
Podcast.
Welcome back. This is episode 184 of the NYYST podcast. I am your host, Christian. As always, joined by my co-host, Chris.
Yo!
I might have jumped the gun a little early there, but that's something you won't have to worry about if you take a Blue Chew.
Blue Chew jumping guns.
He's not here, Stat Guy Rye.
That's that guy Rye choking on a Blue Chew.
Stat Guy Rye is on, we just like to say he's on assignment, but we really don't have any clue where he is.
Right.
I heard, you said that you saw his search history on his phone last week, and it was just like
so many tabs, so many Blue Chew tabs, so many Tyler Wade tabs, and a few different compilation tabs.
So this could explain his absence.
So we might need to have an intervention.
I can't think of a fun word for that. A rye-tervention.
A rye-tervention? A guy-tervention.
A chew-tervention.
We actually better get right to it today because we have a special guest. And he hasn't been on for a while. I don't know about you, but I miss this guy.
Do you?
I do. It's been a long time.
Because we've been talking so much about, and this is the last week, unless they're going to come on board officially, we're not mentioning them anymore. No more free press.
No, and you know what? That's my bad. I got to get to it. I've been crazy busy with stuff, but I'm going to get to it. Blue Chew will be sponsoring this segment. And what segment is that?
It's the Gardy Report!
What up, Gardy?
Hey, guys. What's going on, guys? Long time. It's been a while. What's going on?
It's so good to hear your voice.
Gardy, are you social distancing right now?
Of course, man. I got my mask on as we speak. Right now, I got the mask on. Hey, Christian, I just want to say congrats on the baby girl, dude. I saw you had a kid since we've been gone, huh?
Thanks, bro. I didn't know you followed me on the Twitter.
Yeah, no, I followed some of your tweets when you tweeted it, and I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't consider naming her after me, dude. What's up with that?
I'm sorry. We named her after my grandmother, Gardy. So I'm sorry.
I get it. My name's Brett, but you could have at least named her after a flower, so I could have planted it, because I am a gardener. What's up, guys?
So, Gardy, you segued right into it. Is it true that you're planting a lot of things on Blue Chew these days?
I'm planting a lot of things on what there? I couldn't hear you. You broke up.
On the blues, plant it. You plant it, your seed, the blue.
Oh, no. Oh, well, a gardener, I had a lot of free time over this quarantine, but, just kind of got busy on the lands, and, we'll figure something out with the Blue Chew. It's, we got to figure something out there, guys, because it goes pretty dang hard.
Gardy, let's just assume that this is your last season as a Yankee. I don't know if it's going to be your last season as a baseball player in general. Do you think you're going to take a different approach to this season, or how are you planning on playing this final season?
Well, hopefully this isn't it for me, but, if it is, I'm definitely going to go just as hard as I always do. Just, the main thing that's really hurting this year as far as how I plan for this season, it's a lot different than other years. I typically watch a lot of tape, but I can't really do that this year because, like, for instance, I can't watch Moneyball this year because we don't play the Oakland Athletics. I can't watch Little Big League because we don't play the Minnesota Twins, at least not until the postseason. I guess I'll watch Fever Pitch, and, tonight I might watch Damn Yankees. That's based off of the Washington Senators, and so that'll be my scouting report for the Nats.
So that's
what else is there?
That's how you prepare. You just go straight to Hollywood.
Yeah, I watch films based on Major League Baseball teams, guys. That's been my secret for the last however many years I've been in the league. 12, 13 years. But it's kind of frustrating because, I mean, like, there's not a lot of movies based on any NL East team. I mean, there is a movie based on the Mets, right? The 1986 season. What was that called again? Blow? Johnny Depp?
Gardy, before we let you go, we know you're a busy guy. We got to ask, the world's in a pandemic, coronavirus. There's a lot of rules and regulations for Major League Baseball. Are you still going to be able to play hard amid the pandemic here? You're not allowed to fist bump anymore. You can't hug your teammates. Are you still going to go hard?
God, if there's one thing that I can guarantee, it's that I'm going to play hard. And there's no rules against banging the roof of the dugout with my bat. So stay 6 feet away from me. I'm going to be slamming that roof all year. And you're going to hear it, too.
Gardy, we miss you, man. Are you currently on the Brett Jet?
I am actually piloting the Brett Jet as we speak. I got my pilot's license during quarantine.
Can I ask you why? You don't have to go anywhere. You're staying in the Bronx to go to the Bronx.
I like taking in the sights, man. There's not a lot of planes in the air. So I got a lot of free roaming up here. And, I just kind of, like right now down there, I'm passing City Field, seeing if I can get any scouting reports up there. No, I don't see anything going on down there. We'll be there tomorrow night, right?
A couple nights.
Actually, yeah,
I don't even know, God.
Saturday night, Gardy.
Yeah,
you should probably know where you need to be. There's only 60 games this year.
Right. You're absolutely right, God.
Well, Gardy, you mentioned roaming, and Chris has got roaming charges on his phone since he's calling an airplane. So we're going to let you go. Good luck in the upcoming season, and don't be a stranger, huh?
All right. No, I promise. I'll be there on there. We're going to get this Blue Chew sponsorship going. I'll put in a good phone call, talk to Tyler Waite, see if he can get on board. And, we're going to win ourselves the World Series this year, guys.
Gardy, thanks for coming on, pal.
Thanks, bro.
Anytime, guys. Hey, I'll see you when I see you.
That was the Gardy Report. Gardy making a special appearance here. We haven't heard from Gardy in a long time. So
you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, unless you have a Blue Chew. These jokes write themselves.
Do you think that he'll still come on the show even if he's not a Yankee or if he retires?
Yeah, why not? I don't see the issue in that. If you would like to see Gardy on the show more often as the season progresses, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and let us know if you want to hear more of Gardy.
Please. So what's up, man? How you been?
I don't know. Just counting down the days now.
Are you pumped up yet? Like, has it fully hit you yet, you think?
I think it will. Actually, we're all going out Saturday night. My wife's birthday is Tuesday, so we're going out to dinner on Saturday.
I never agreed to it, so.
You don't have to come. I personally don't want to because they're playing their first exhibition against the Mets.
I thought about that. Like, who plans a birthday party on the first exhibition during a pandemic when we haven't been able to watch any baseball?
Well, I got in trouble because I forgot her birthday was coming up.
That's not. You're a dad now.
That's what I blamed it on. But apparently, it wasn't a good enough excuse. It's funny though because I was at my mother's house the other day, and she asked me when her birthday was. She knew it was like the 20th or the 21st, and I said it. And then my wife brought it up, and I was like, "Wait a second, your birthday's next week?" And then I got in trouble.
The time has passed too quickly.
I know. I didn't even realize that we were going to be approaching towards the end of July here, especially, you know how it is, bro. You got a kid and shit just happens now.
And plus, both of our wives celebrate their birthdays for the entire month. So
yeah, they're weirdos that have to have an entire month devoted to them as if there's something special about them.
Right.
We can talk all the shit we want about them. They don't listen to the show.
They don't support us anymore.
They're home. They're home with their children.
Right.
Leah and Jack are old enough to go run around the yard. Callie goes in the thing, the thing that babies go in.
The jumpy
same thing. Right. So what the hell else are they doing all day that they can't listen to the podcast?
I agree.
We're out there. Earning the money, right? Like, you want to get sexist? You want to go like 1960s sexism right here?
Let's do 19. I like the 1920s better.
I I joke. My wife works hard. She's a teacher. She's just, it's A, it's a pandemic, and B, she's on maternity leave, and C, it's the summer, so she's not working right now. But your wife is a homemaker and a mother of 3, and that's a full-time job in and of itself. No one ever will ever disrespect anybody that does something like that. But if we don't clarify shit like that, we'll get angry emails saying, "Oh, NYYST is sexist."
I don't give a shit. They can come right at me. I don't back down.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me. I don't give a shit. I gotta say, I always thought I knew how tough stay-at-home moms had it until fucking quarantine, until I had to be, and don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I actually enjoyed every minute of being home, but it's not easy. I definitely couldn't do it. I would be gone. I would be on a plane to California.
I was alone with the baby for 2 hours today, and I was like, I'm done. Where's my wife?
I can't do it. I can't.
Because what my first instinct is? To feed her. She screams.
Feed.
And feed.
Why do you think Jack was such a fat baby? All I did was feed the kid. He would scream every 45 minutes, and I would just feed him.
And then I get yelled at. Oh, she just had a bottle an hour ago. Well, she's yelling for more.
And now she's probably taking a shit, so you're going to need to change her.
I don't know. I kind of skirted that one. She was probably due for a diaper, and I went upstairs to record this podcast. So
awful father.
Yeah, I'm a bad dad. What do you want from me?
Bad dad.
Bad dad. So if you were getting used to listening to us on Friday morning, you're going to listen to us Thursday morning this week. We're recording Wednesday night. We got, at a prior commitment tomorrow, so we hopping on here. Plus, it'll get you in kind of sync for next week when we record Wednesday night to drop Thursday morning to preview opening day, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah. I can't believe it'll be a week away tomorrow. Honestly.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm still, part of me still doesn't want to give in. Like, I'm very excited. I'm happy that we're a week away, but part of me doesn't want to give in yet because God only knows what the hell can happen in the next week as we've lived the last 4 months and know how things can change in a matter of 15 minutes. Like, remember, you go back to whenever Rudy Gobert tested positive and then Trump was on TV the next day and then the world ended. It was like that quick.
I remember the minute it became serious to me was when I was actually put a bet on whatever the basketball game was that got canceled. It was a West Coast game. Might have been Lakers and someone.
I know the Jazz really started this whole thing when Rudy Gobert tested positive. That was like the breaking point.
Yeah, then that was
on the next
that was the game
day.
that was like it was delayed for a while, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is this delayed for?" And then it got canceled.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So it was that quick, and then everything just ended at that point. So God only, I mean, like anything can possibly happen in the next week, but fingers crossed that it doesn't. We got a few things we can bring up here today as kind of make our way through summer camp. And speaking of summer camp, Friday morning we got a little new merch coming out. So promo code will be exclusive to NYYST listeners.
Right. It's going to be NYYST pod. That'll get you 30% off. Any other promo code we give out on this shirt or any apparel is going to be only 20%. This will give you 30%, and I'm thinking about free shipping, too. I'm thinking about throwing that cherry on top. NYYSportstalk.com/shop.
Are you in a good mood?
I'm in a really good mood. I actually ran a poll. I wanted to bring this up before we get into something else. I was curious to see, because I have so many people coming up to me, and they're like, they're not even going to play this year. I'm like, dude, the fucking season starts in a week. I think if there was concern about not playing, something would have been said by now. But I ran a poll if people thought the MLB season would complete itself in 2020, playoffs and all. So one choice was no, it'll end early. Yes, playoffs and all. And I threw in a season won't even start. I got 40% so far. No, it will end early. 46% say yes, it'll go all the way through. 14% season won't even start.
Yeah, I see that on Twitter, too, that people still don't think the season will actually happen. The Yankees have gotten hit again with COVID. Aroldis Chapman tested positive. I believe, when did we talk about that? Over the weekend, his test came back.
Yeah.
So based on the timeline, he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. He's experiencing some symptoms. Doesn't seem like it's too serious compared to the way some other people come down with it. But, if he's got to be shut down for 14 days, come back, get back in the swing of things. So it doesn't look like, in a season like this, man, you miss 2 weeks, that's a big chunk of the season. So.
I actually wouldn't be shocked if more guys come out with it in the upcoming days, because I was watching one of the scrimmage games the other day, last week, and Chapman and Sanchez were just walking around, no mask, nothing, right next to people. They didn't seem to care too much, and now Chapman tested positive. So I'm sure so many people are just going to continue to get it throughout the year.
Well, what's the buzzword? Contact tracing. That's what they said they did. So they kind of, I don't know, according to Boone, they kind of figured where it might have came from. I don't think they're worried about anybody else. I don't know how regularly these guys are getting tested. Tuesday night, Gary hit a home run in an inter-squad game, and then later on in the game, I was watching a bat with Tommy Canley, where Tommy just challenged him with 3 fastballs, and he just blew Sanchez away, which on one hand is like, wow, Tommy just blew away Gary Sanchez. That's awesome. And on the other hand is like, Gary, these fucking fastballs are right down the middle. You can't square up one of them.
Maybe he got the cove in between at bats.
So DJ LeMahieu still hasn't returned from it. Sessa still hasn't returned from it. Sessa was sick. DJ was asymptomatic. So, I mean, we're coming down the stretch here. We got a week to go. I really don't think DJ is going to be ready for the start of the season. I mean, what are you going to do? Even if he came back tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean,
he's got a week to go. He's 3 exhibition games and some practices going to be enough.
Yeah. I mean, guys like that, if they're asymptomatic, I'd have to imagine they're still taking a lot of cuts somewhere. I don't know where they're allowed to be necessarily. I know they're obviously not allowed to be around other people, but that doesn't mean you can't have something set up to take swings in a cage or something. But
has he got a pitching machine at his house? Maybe a little tee set up.
I'm
sure.
He
can't be at this facility.
Yeah,
he can't
I'm
be
sure.
At the Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I'm sure he has something. But a guy like that, man, where baseball just comes natural to you, he'll be fine by next week. I think you're not going to sit him for missing a couple scrimmages and some practices. I mean, it's DJ LeMahieu.
Him if he's not ready, which is a distinct possibility.
But DJ's never going to say he's not ready, and they're going to leave it up to him. He's earned that.
Okay, well, it's still a possibility that he's not in the lineup on opening night.
It's definitely a possibility. I just don't think it's likely.
Okay. So now we're missing our closer. We're missing our starting second baseman, who was an MVP candidate last year. Luis Sessa, who is you want to say he's a decent part of this bullpen. So the COVID has hit the Yankees. It's hit other teams. So you just gotta keep your fingers crossed that it's not a major outbreak, because that's what's going to shut things down, is a major outbreak.
I have a different respect for Sessa after last year. I mean, I think Sessa did a really awesome job in the playoffs. So I want him back. I never thought I'd say that.
He's always had this stuff. It's just he never seemed to put it together.
Yeah. He's always been, location's always killed him. I feel like Sessa's the kind of guy who gets himself into trouble and he kind of just folds. But in the playoffs last year, man, he really stepped up. He showed me a different side of him. And he really, he didn't have a terrible season.
No, I actually do want to take a look at something. Now that you bring it up.
I mean, think about the one guy we said would be gone the earliest. If you told me Luis Sessa was going to last the entire 2019 season, I would have never told you.
I mean, he had a 4.11 ERA last year, which is pretty. I mean,
it's not bad for him.
That was the lowest of his career. His previous low was 4.35, and in 2018 he was at 5.24.
He had to have. It had to be one of the most innings he's ever pitched.
Most innings by almost 11. Most games by let's see here, by almost 30. So that was the most usage he's ever gotten in his career. Gave up a ton of bombs, but I think everybody kind of did. His bugaboo was the walks. He had 31 walks last year.
Yeah. I mean,
his whip is relatively high, 1.3. You like to see that come down a little bit, but other than that, I mean, I think we saw things from Louis Sessa that we liked last year.
Yeah, that's what I meant by Sessa kind of gets himself into trouble and then he folds and he has that big inning. It's his location. I mean, he comes out and he's wild sometimes, but he really honed that in for me. So I think he's going to be a big piece of this team, especially in a shortened season.
So we didn't talk about this last week because we were just talking about other things, but we should bring it up here today. Is that Masahiro Tanaka got fucking blasted with a Giancarlo Stanton line drive off the face on July 4th when they were playing a sim game. What do we say that came off the bat at 113 miles an hour?
Yeah, 112, I think. Yeah.
The miracle in of itself is that he didn't die, because you take 113 mile an hour line drive to the fucking dome and you don't die is a miracle in of itself. And the fact that he came out the other day and said, outside of when he got to the hospital, since he left on July 4th, he hasn't experienced any friggin' symptoms.
He doesn't even have a fucking mark on his face.
I tweeted this the other day as a joke, but it might be true. I think the ball got a concussion when it hit Masahiro Tanaka.
Jesus Christ. Like, it looks like the guy wasn't even hit, let alone with the Stanton 112 mile per hour line drive. I'd be dead, I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know if you remember this. A few weeks ago, we talked about a poll that I ran of 3 pending Yankee free agents: Tanaka, Paxton, and LeMahieu. Which one would you prefer to sign? And it seemed like Tanaka was kind of in third place on that. I'm not going to go back and look at the poll, but I think that's how the fans kind of voted, and I think that's how we broke it down, is that maybe he was in third place on that, or maybe second, but it was definitely Paxton. But now I'm thinking about this. Should the Yankees really make a concerted effort to re-sign Tanaka if he has a healthy year, pitches representative to what he's been? Should they really go out of their way to try to sign this guy? I'm not talking like if he's out there demanding Garrett Cole money, but if you remember in recent years and really in the last decade, the Yankees have always had like an elder statesman on the rotation. It was Andy Pettitte. And then now recently it was CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
Masahiro Tanaka be that guy. Put him as a 4-5. You really don't expect much out of him out of the regular season, but go out there, take the ball, and show up in big games.
Maybe. And let me ask you this before I get to my point on that, because that's a really good question. Can the Yankees just don't have the room to sign all 3? I mean, that's just not a possibility.
I'm sure they could. They're the Yankees. They can do
right,
whatever
because
they want. Now,
DJ obviously is going to make good money, but it's not groundbreaking. And Tanaka's really, you're not going to have to sign him for that much, I don't think.
But we've seen how Brian Cashman draws a line in the sand on certain guys. Yeah. So where does he draw a line in the sand on James Paxton? Where does he do it with Tanaka? Where does he do it with LeMahieu?
All right.
Because apparently this is kind of a make or break year for Tyler Wade. I got to say.
I think that if we were going into 2020, shortened season or not, and Luis Severino was healthy and had a good year and showed what he's made of throughout a full season, James Paxton's case would be much, much weaker than it's going to be. But as far as Tanaka's concerned, with that senior presence, that veteran presence, I would like it. I think I would be happy if they signed him, but with a guy like Garrett Cole, even though he's a young dude who hasn't been around too long, he's already shown what kind of leadership he has. I don't think you necessarily need that veteran presence anymore. You
don't, but you can also kind of liken it to 2009.
Yeah.
And, when Andy was here at the later stages of his career, being the lead, being that older guy in the rotation, CC was a legit ace back then.
Yeah. No, you're right. It can never hurt. But if the Yankees were basing it solely off of that as a necessity, it wouldn't, it wouldn't hold up for me.
If you go into 2021, who's in this rotation?
I mean,
Garrett Cole.
We still don't have a fifth starter now.
And Jordan Montgomery. I mean, I know you hate his guts.
You got to imagine that.
You hate Jordan Montgomery as if you witnessed him grab your wife's ass at a bar.
No,
That's how
I would
much you
actually
hate
like him more if he did that.
You give him the dap.
I give him the dap. I'll give him. He's a Yankee. You're a Yankee.
You'd be like, babe, you got your ass grabbed by a Yankee.
I wonder if she dates one of the Yankees. I would say for me that I think Severino's going to come back. I think he's going to be a Yankee. I think he's going to be a good Yankee, and I think he's going to stay healthy. And I think you're going to have.
We can count on him, especially right away next year.
I still think you can. I really do. I still have faith in that. And I think when you have a rotation with those two at the top, and if you can sign Paxton back, man, this team is set for a good handful of years.
I think he might get. The thing with Tanaka is he might get pushed out by the numbers game, because if you think the Yankees might want to spend money elsewhere, maybe, I don't know where. They seem to be loaded everywhere, but, maybe. I mean, how much would it cost to bring LeMahieu back on a 3-year deal? 45, 50 million bucks.
Exactly.
Something like that. You don't need a left fielder. You don't need a center fielder. You don't need a right fielder. You don't need a shortstop. You don't really look like you need a third baseman or a catcher. Do you need a first baseman?
You really don't. You really don't.
You really don't.
I mean,
so where, position player wise, where would they spend money? It doesn't look like they would.
It doesn't make it. Just you don't have any holes like you're saying, and it's not even just that. It's that you have such depth in every single position you look at that at this point you might as well spend your money internally. I mean, you might as well keep the guys, and that's barring a good season. I think I calculated most of these guys will get about 12 starts this year.
It would be exactly if they use 5 stars.
Assuming they're not hurt or anything and they make all their starts. They get about 12 starts this year. I mean, that's enough of a sample size for me to say this guy's worth it or this guy's not. Because, again, like Ryan said a couple weeks ago or last week, we're starting in the warmer weather now. These guys are going to be loose. These pitchers already look loose, and they've only played a couple scrimmage games. So those 12 games are going to be all in for the pitchers, and I think you'll get a good feel of who deserves to stay on this team next year.
And you know what, the Yankees might also look at it like, we need to pay Judge, we need to pay Glaber, we'll need to pay Gary, Voit will be due a raise, all these guys that you're paying basically nothing to right now. They might look to save money and say, hey, we like Jordan Montgomery, we like Clark Schmidt, we like Michael King. These are all going to be maybe options for the rotation in 2021.
I think
maybe even a guy like Davy Garcia. This year kind of hurts Davy Garcia because there's nowhere for him to continue to develop right now. And real quick, last week we were speculating on where the Yankees would be sending the other half of their player pool. It's going to be Scranton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they confirmed that this week. They're gonna go play out in Scranton, PA.
Here's my thing with some of these young pitchers right now. Like, I'll take Clark Schmidt for example. We've heard about this kid. They took a big, it was a gamble. They drafted him knowing he needed Tommy John, and they just kind of prayed that he'd come back and be effective. Now, when Chance Adams was our number one prospect, and we heard about him nonstop, and he was some great, phenomenal pitcher, I don't remember one moment where he showed me before he made his debut even, where I was like, wow, this kid has big-time potential and a lot of talent. And Clark Schmidt did that in one quick outing already. So I think the Yankees are going to be really high on that kid, and I think they definitely plan on having him in the rotation next year if he can get enough work in somehow, either whether it be on a major league level this year or not. But that's another thing too. We keep forgetting about the pitching prospects, and I think they're promising for once. We always hear about them, but they always seem to fall through. Who was the other guy I'm thinking of besides Chance Adams? We had another guy that the douchebag they traded last year, Sheffield. I mean,
He's
it
a
was
douchebag.
he was another guy. They were like, yeah, he's great, but he can't throw strikes. Well, then how is he great?
Well, I was always high on Sheffield for the fact that I was told by people in Cleveland that he was the real gem of that trade.
Yeah, well, they sold it pretty well. Clint Frazier was the gem too, wasn't he? Guy can't even catch a fucking fly ball.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, but we've seen Clint Frazier belongs in the major leagues.
He does, and it's sad that whether it be talent or mental, fucking breakdowns, the kid can hit. He's got one of the sweetest swings, fastest bat speed I've ever seen, and he can hit. But his fielding's killed him.
Right after the Andrew Miller trade was made, I was at Yankee Stadium, and I had people from Cleveland tell me, like, don't sleep on Sheffield. Like, everybody's talking up Clint Frazier. Sheffield's the guy you're going to watch in that trade. I mean, obviously, it turned out to be a bunch of horse shit, but I always because we hear numbers, we hear shit, how closely are you paying attention to farm systems of other teams? So when somebody, I took it, you got to take that type of stuff with a grain of salt, but they went out of their way to say, hey, Sheffield's the guy. That's the guy you want to watch out for. And I don't know. He might turn it around. I mean, it's kind of too early to write the book on him, but,
Yeah,
it really didn't look good for him last year.
Who'd you just say was going to hurt by having a shortened season, not much time? Garcia. You know who else is going to hurt? And I think it hurts the Yankees too, depending on where they see him in the future. Clint Frazier, man, because you would have started this season, right? Aaron Judge hurt. Aaron Hicks recovering. And who else? And Stant might have not been ready. And someone else I'm not thinking of. I feel like maybe that's it. But anyway, you definitely would have had to have Clint Frazier up for a significant amount of time, and he would have gotten playing time, and it could have, if he played well, upped his value for both the Yankees keeping him or trading him, and B, just had him prove himself for himself. And now he's not. I mean, do you think he'll be up with the major league club or no?
It's hard. I mean, if you're gonna say 30 guys, they're gonna every couple of weeks they're gonna cut from the roster. It's gonna go 30 to 28 to 26 by the end of the season or something like that. If we were starting on March 27th or whatever the date was, 28th. He would have absolutely been on the 26-man roster.
You would have had to.
Absolutely. I really think he would have been, because where else would you gotten your outfielders from? It would have been Tauchman, Gardy, and probably him, right? Who else would have been an outfielder?
Yeah. Because
even am I missing somebody? I always hate when I and then I go back and I was like, I can't believe I forgot him. But I think that would have been it, right? Tauchman, Gardy, and Frazier would have been your outfielders.
Yeah. And then you really got to think about it. Even when you get down to the wire, even if all the guys are healthy, hopefully knock wood. I mean, you have 3 outfielders that you're throwing out there that you push them too hard and they break a femur. In Stanton, Hicks, and now Judge. I mean, Judge is stiff neck. He's playing again, this weekend or tonight.
He played today.
They said
he hit a bomb.
So hopefully that was just truly a stiff neck. Maybe he choked on a blue chew.
Well, let's go through this before we bring up Aaron Judge, because I did want to get there. I don't know. Can you see Frazier on the opening day roster? Matt Blake said he could see them taking 17 or 18 pitchers. I forget the exact number that they said. So you're talking maybe 12 position players. You're starting 9.
What do you need that many pitchers for? That's crazy.
I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if you see a lot of pitching changes in this season.
Well, remember something, you really won't. Because
I know the 3-batter rule, but you keep hearing that these guys are only going to give you, starters might only give you 50 or 60 pitches. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Maybe a guy like Cole might be an exception. They're talking about maybe he'll give you 80 on opening day. That guy should be ready to give me, 90 or 100. I don't want to hear this 80 bullshit.
Yeah. No, I agree. I honestly, like I said, the biggest case for Clint Frazier outside of how well he can hit, to me, is just you can't really depend on your outfielders right now staying healthy, unfortunately. And you're going to want him for depth. or late inning coming in. I mean, look, if you have a game, right, where Gary absolutely needs a full day off, no pinch hitting, he's just truly getting a day off. It's late in the game and Higashioka gets up, you're going to want to pinch hit Clint Frazier. I mean, who's better to put in on that bench that you would trust more?
Well, Gary Sanchez, because
I'm saying if Gary's getting
anyway.
I'm saying if if it's the ninth inning, yeah, I guess you're right on that.
Unless they're going to carry 3 catchers with the expanded roster, they might.
I mean,
it's a possibility.
Okay, let's say, yeah.
Because I don't know if you caught this. There are a lot when they travel. They have to take They get to take a 3-man taxi squad with them, and one of the players has to be a catcher, which I don't personally like. I don't think they should mandate who you are allowed to take, but they're saying that one of those players has to be a catcher.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I just think he just adds so much depth. And then you have enough outfielders where even if he pinch hits for someone and then, someone else has to, let's say he pinch hits for what's his face, the first baseman, not Voit. Ford, right? Let's say Mike Ford makes a roster. He pinch hits for Ford and it's a better spot for Frazier than it is for Voit. I'd rather go to Frazier than a guy like Tyler Wade. I don't really want to put down Tyler Wade. I don't want to upset Ryan when he's not here to defend him. And I know Tyler Wade did step it up last year, but I want a guy who I know has pop and who I know has the potential to put one in the gap. He's just a weapon to have, even if you're not going to play him in the field, even if you're going to use him late in games offensively. I'm taking him.
Yeah, I mean, but Mike Tauchman and Brett Gardner can play defense as well and still are pretty decent hitters.
Yeah, but Clint Frazier, like I said, coming up in one spot, even if you have to, you're going to pinch hit, let's say Tauchman plays over Gardy one day and you're going to pinch hit Frazier for Tauchman. I think that's a likely possibility at some point. Then you just throw Gardy out there for defense. I mean, it just gives you more flexibility.
I'm sure you can do that, but maybe with 30-man roster. But I don't know. Boone is really going to want to burn two players for one spot because you can't trust Clint Frazier in the outfield.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really really, if anything comes out of this for Clint Frazier, it's that you hope that you at least, not that he'll ever be Ken Griffey Jr. out there, but that he's decent, that he can catch a fly ball, routine fly balls. I don't need guys that make spectacular plays. I just need guys to make the plays that you're supposed to.
Yeah, last year was such a disappointment for Frazier because he was having such a good offensive year that if he could have just put it all together and played a decent outfield, I think Cashman would have looked at him as a completely different player than he does now.
That game against Boston on Sunday night really killed him.
Awful.
So, and then that you could see with him that the wheels were turning, and he was just overdoing it. He was just overthinking everything.
Yeah.
Because then he was trying, because he was making so many errors. He was trying to compensate for it by making a big spectacular play, and he just kind of poured gasoline on the fire. And then you had half the Yankees Twitter turn on him and want to burn his house down because he was making errors out in the outfield. But yeah. That's the one thing I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I am ready for it. Is to just roll my eyes the first time, Garrett Cole gives up a home run and people are like, "This guy's a fucking bust, $324 million waste," or Giancarlo Stanton strikes out in a big spot and they wish death upon him, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
At least no one will be there to boo Stanton for a while. Maybe he'll play better. I think it gets to Stanton more than he admits. I think he's got a big ego, and I think it gets to him a little bit.
I think it just goes back to what we've always talked about on this show, is that they didn't even give the guy a fucking chance to breathe.
It was A-Rod 2.0.
I think Giancarlo Stanton could have lived with it if he had played the first month of the season batting $110 with 1,000 strikeouts and like 3 RBIs, and they booed him. And I think he could say, "Hey, I fucking deserve this."
You know how?
But the first day, I mean, like, this is one. You know how you probably seen these things. They're like the word clouds and like the
Yeah.
words that you say the biggest
Yeah.
are
The
the
most
most
are the
come out
biggest,
biggest.
yeah.
This would probably be the second or third biggest in our word cloud on this show, talking about John Carl Stanton getting booed. Maybe if not, maybe the biggest. I don't know what other
Yeah.
topic we've beaten more than this one.
Maybe the Houston cheating scandal. That felt like a decade. But here's my thing. I fucking lost my train of thought. Something about Stanton getting booed. Oh, right. You know when you debate people nowadays, they just find some way to tell you that what you've seen and what you've witnessed with your own eyes, or even like statistics you have in front of you, they just find a way to tell you it's not true, or that you didn't see it, or that didn't happen.
Yeah.
There's people like I'll talk about how he carried this team throughout the whole summer when Judge was hurt and whatever, put the team on his back, and so did Andujar, but that's like always my go-to when I say, come on, guys, like this guy fucking carried this team. Now there's people who fight and say, well, if you really look at it, he really didn't. No, he did. I watched it. Every game I watched, and he was hurt.
Oh, because the first inning doesn't count as much as the ninth inning. You understand that, right? So if he hits a grand slam in the first inning, the Yankees win 4-0. That doesn't count,
Right?
But if the Yankees lose 3-2 and he strikes out with runners at second and third to end the game, that counts.
Right. I forgot. So that is the argument. The argument is always that, yeah, well, you got to look at his stats late in the game, clutch performance. How about when he blows the fucking game open 8-0 after 4 innings?
Oh, but they were already up 5-0, so it's a non-pressure situation.
Yeah, it's just one thing after the next, because they don't. Once people have their mind set on something, it seems like they just don't, even if it's fact, they just don't want anything to change their mind anymore.
I remember last week we were talking about defensive metrics and how they're kind of bullshit, and I hate them.
What'd you say? Someone backed you up on that, right?
Yeah, wasn't it?
I think Jack Curry.
I text Jack Curry, right? He basically said that, because people were kind of dissing Gio Urshela, saying that he wasn't a good defensive third baseman because of his defensive metrics, and Curry was like, I think, defensive metrics are kind of bullshit. He didn't say that. He, paraphrasing here, that they're not really on par with offensive metrics, and I agree with that. I don't like analytics, period. I think too much thought is given to them, and people are always trying to moneyball everything and over analyze. It's fucking baseball. I mean,
yeah,
they're useful, but as I've said before, talking about your word cloud, they're not gospel. It's useful but not gospel. And Curry said that, basically I don't think he heard me say this, but he backed up my point in a way that said that offensive analytics and metrics are more advanced and, are better, and for lack of a better term, than the defensive metrics are, because he said that watching Gio Urshela, there's no way you can tell him that he's not a good defensive third baseman. And he said that he might have had a couple of plays last year that kind of sunk his metrics a little bit.
I feel like there's too many intangibles when it comes to defense that it's tough to gauge based off of numbers, where batting's more like math and the numbers are in front of you. And really the only thing that would be considered to me an intangible batting wise is the clutch performer. Like, no one would ever go out of their way to say Derek Jeter was some amazing elite offensive player. He was great, but no one would consider him one of the best hitters of all time, I don't think. But I mean, look at the moments that guy had. He had that X factor. But defensively, Jeter was much better than he gets credit for, at least in his prime. But because of these new metrics and how everything's analyzed, you would look at a piece of paper and think Derek Jeter couldn't even field a fucking easy ground ball. Honestly.
No, and that's what we said last week, that give me the guy where I don't have to have a panic attack every time that the ball is hit to him. Give me the guy that can make the routine play. I don't always need spectacular. Yeah, it helps. I would love an Ozzie Smith. I love Gleyber Torres to turn into Ozzie Smith defensively. But if he's a solid, competent shortstop, I'll live with it. I would have no issue with it.
If you ask any analytics guy about Derek Jeter defensively, here's how bad they think he was. That me saying he was better than they give him credit for is not saying much. Like, he would just have to be average to make that statement true. That's how poorly he's talked about.
A lot of these people that are really down on Jeter's defensive metrics and saying that he was a bad shortstop, not for nothing, a lot of them were, they had to have their butts wiped by their mom and dad when Derek Jeter was playing baseball.
Too many, I'm not saying I'm not young, I'm only 31, but like, too many of the kids just a few years younger than me, they have a lot of vocal power, I feel like. Like, you hear from them the most, and they're literally just looking at a spreadsheet. They didn't live through his prime. They lived through they really remember his last, handful of years? When the guy was hurt.
When he really wasn't good. He wasn't a good shortstop towards the end of his career.
No, and you couldn't appreciate him.
We can all admit that.
Yeah, you couldn't appreciate who he was.
It's like when people bring up like a Mickey Mantle or Joe DiMaggio. How am I going to accurately compare them to the players of today? You can't. It's impossible. Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, all these guys, Ty Cobb, Jackie Robinson, greatest of the greats, right? But, somebody's going to look at analytics and say, well, Jackie Robinson or Mickey Mantle, they weren't as good as fucking give me some nondescript outfielder, like a Mike Tauchman has better analytics than Mickey Mantle. Okay, like the people will say that shit because, like you said, they're just looking at a spreadsheet.
Yeah, the only guy I think could have really made the same impact now as he did then, and I hate the fat fuck, but I think Babe Ruth.
Pablo Sandoval?
I really hate Babe Ruth. I don't know why, but I think his numbers were just that good that he still would have been a great player.
You shouldn't have fat shamed Pablo Sandoval. He's had it hard.
He's had his skinny moments. He was pretty thin for a while.
Like, dude, the guy that tweeted that picture, he's got to come down off the ledge. Okay, people fat shamed him. It's not your fault. You're just taking a picture. Like, oh, I didn't know that he was going to get fat shamed. You probably did. It might have been the reason why you took the picture in the first place, but don't apologize for it. It's not like you encouraged it.
I've been fat shamed my whole life.
If you put a tweet out and said, here's Pablo Sandoval, he's fat.
Yeah. Honestly, I've been fat shamed my whole life. I haven't made a fucking dent in the money that Pablo Sandoval's made in his career. So you know what? Fuck it. The guy wasn't attacking him. Pablo Sandoval got fat. And he seems okay with it.
I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted.
You're very distracted all the time.
There's 2 ambulances that just went down my street, so.
Everyone's okay in your household?
Well, if they came here and no one told me, that's kind of fucked up.
Can't mess up the show. Can't disrupt the show.
My father-in-law could be downstairs, he's old, having old people problems, and my wife, I would respect that out of her.
I would too. As long as he was okay. But I would definitely respect that.
I could see a scenario. You remember in the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode when Larry was off filming a movie when his mother died and his father never called him?
Yeah.
And he was like, your mother didn't want to bother you while you were in New York.
I got to get back into that show.
I'm telling you, bro, the John Hamm episode, you gotta get back into it.
Even if I don't like John Hamm, even if I'm not a huge John Hamm fan.
Why wouldn't you be a John Hamm fan?
I just feel like and I haven't watched Mad Men. But I just feel like he's such a douchebag in every role, and I hate the typecasted douchebag. It gets old after a while.
He's really funny in this.
All right. So then I would probably like him.
Did you see when he had those couple of cameos in the last season of Parks and Rec? Like, I think he was on the season 6 finale, and then he was in the season 7 premiere.
Yeah.
He plays more of a character like that.
Okay. Then I'd probably like him.
And the way he impersonates Larry is ridiculous, so you have to watch it.
All right.
So what were we talking about now? The ambulance?
The ambulance.
Well, hopefully Aaron Judge doesn't need to see a fucking inside of a hospital anymore.
Honestly.
For MRIs and tests or whatever. He sat out a few games with a stiff neck, but he was back in the lineup today. I didn't see any of the game, but I saw people tweeting highlights. He hit a home run today. Again, this is another thing. Now you can see when the worm starts to turn on Twitter towards certain players, and it seems like Aaron Judge is kind of, maybe the shine is worn off Aaron Judge a little bit with Yankee fans. And I agree that the guy needs to stay on the field. I mean, what the hell's going on out there? We're playing 60 games this year. You got to give me what? You got to give me 52, 55. You got to give me something like that. Because we already know Boone said guys are going to get rested, and whatever. I mean, we can hate that and debate that all we want, but you can't give me less than 52 games this year. It's absolutely it's out of the question.
So let me ask you this, right? We always talk about the loyalty in any fan nowadays. I won't just single out Yankee fans, but like back in the day when we were growing up, when Derek Jeter became Derek Jeter, he was Derek Jeter. That was it. It didn't matter what happened. He was Derek Jeter. Nothing was changing that. And now I don't think you'll ever see that type of loyalty again from fans. But my question to you is this. Do you think that the fans would be turning like this if the Yankees didn't surround Judge with so many superstars at this point? Like if you didn't have a guy like DJ LeMahieu, who had a phenomenal year last year, Gleyber Torres, young stud, fucking Garrett Cole, I mean, Chapman, Britton, you didn't have all these other guys that were here performing. Do you think they wouldn't turn so quickly on Judge? Or do you think it's just strictly wouldn't matter at this point? There's just no loyalty.
I don't know, man. You would think that Judge might be, he should be immune to this a little bit. I mean, we're all frustrated. We all want to see Aaron Judge out there for 150 games every year, but I'm not ready to. We got to get rid of him. He's sorry. He can't stay on the field. He's hurt all the time. I mean, if he misses games now, once we start playing for real, it's a different story, but he sits out, he misses a couple scrimmages, and you want to get rid of the guy?
I'm not going to sit here and say, I'll never say that I don't love Aaron Judge and that he's not one of my favorite players, if not my favorite. But I will admit that if he gets hurt this year, I have to admit he's injury prone. I mean,
it's so weird. Like some of these injuries he's had though that contributes to him being injury prone, or like he got hit with a pitch, broke his hand. What's he supposed to do? That's injury prone?
Yeah, but there's been so much since then.
Yeah, he breaks his rib diving for a ball. That's kind of a fluky thing. That makes him injury prone.
Oh, maybe he did it because he's such a big guy.
Yeah, and that's what everybody says. He's so big, so he might be more likely to get hurt. Okay, the oblique strains, he's had 2 of those. That's different. That's injury prone. But 2 out of the 4 injuries are kind of fluky things. They're broken bones.
The shoulder.
Those aren't the shoulder in 2017, but he played through that. You can't hold that against him. He played. He maybe caused a massive slump, but I'm not going to hold it against the guy when he put himself in a lineup every day.
I think the bigger argument with Judge being a big guy isn't so much that it makes him more injury prone, because it definitely could. But when you look at a guy like Judge, the way his mechanics are, the way he swings a bat, he uses every bit of his body. So when he has something small like a stiff neck, it really affects him to a point where immediately something's going on with him. Like when Judge isn't 100%.
Some guys have what they would call a sweet swing. It's smooth. It's compact.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge is violent. He's
violent. That's why he strains the obliques. Yeah, and you're the first person. You will be the first person to text us in the group and say something's off with him, even if it's the smallest fucking thing. Even if the guy has a little blister on his finger, you can tell when he's up at bat that he's not 100%. He's just that kind of guy.
And I think a lot of, and you were bringing up Jeter, but I don't know. Do you think things would have been different if Jeter played in the social media?
Oh, era? Definitely. 100%.
So you can't say that, Jeter was Jeter and that was it, because you don't know how fans would have reacted to him had, he played when Twitter was a big thing. Everybody's got a voice now.
Yeah, so maybe we attribute all of that to social media, to seeing everyone's opinion. That still means that when Jeter played, he had that loyalty because we didn't have things like that.
Yeah, and maybe you almost hope, obviously it's kind of hard to promote podcasts and be present in this world without social media, but you almost kind of hope that it went back to that because it was just simpler, and fans. I think a lot of people fall into group thing too. Like when somebody sees, oh, Giancarlo Stanton sucks, and somebody goes, maybe he does. He does suck. You're right. And then now they start piling on.
Yep.
Whereas if somebody, that same person wasn't on social media, he would just be like, oh, Stan, he is what he is. I won't boo him. I won't curse him out. But he.
Yeah.
And now people see like 10 other people tweeting what a bag of shit he is. They're like, yeah, he is. Fuck him.
There's confirmation bias is a real thing. Like people don't go into anything objectively anymore. They kind of have their mindset. They look at other opinions, and the majority of opinions that stand out to them, they just say immediately, yeah, that's how I feel. And then they only look up things that will confirm what they're feeling. They will not look at anything objectively and say, okay, I know I feel like he kind of sucks and everyone's saying he sucks, but let me look at some of the good things he's done. That's just not how it works anymore. We have so much technology, so much information at our fingertips that it's so easy to prove your own point, even if there's two truths to it. So that's why everything's so divided. You either love Stanton or you fucking hate him. No one in this world goes, yeah, Stanton's pretty good. He's, I'm indifferent towards him. No, everyone either fucking loves Stanton or hates him.
And I said, again, back to the word cloud. Like, I don't want to be the guy that has to take up for Giancarlo Stanton every time. But I feel like if I don't, who's gonna? Because everybody just wants to shit on the guy.
Right.
He's not. Last year was very frustrating, backed up off of his poor postseason in 2018. So that's what fans are going on. The poor 2018 postseason, the fact that he wasn't on the field in 2019. That doesn't mean the guy is a waste.
Yeah. I still like him.
Because we said it again. A-Rod wasn't clutch until in the postseason until he was. So you just keep hoping that he gets chance after chance to, like A-Rod got chance after chance, and eventually, hopefully it doesn't take 10 years or however long. No, it was 5 years, right? A-Rod got here in 2004. Even though through the beginning of that postseason up until the collapse started, he was tearing the cover off the ball. But people don't remember that part of it, right?
Yeah.
You hope that it doesn't take 5 years to stand and bring a ring to the Yankees, but you just keep putting his name in the lineup, keep throwing him out there, and he's good enough where one of these days he's going to hit a monster home run in a big spot, and everybody will be lining up to kiss him in the center of his ass, and Giancarlo should just be like, "Fuck you, I'm out."
Yeah, people hate him so much. Like he had such a big moment against the Mariners a couple years ago when he hit that. I think it was the walk-off. Yeah, it wasn't some fucking playoff moment, but it was a huge moment for him. A guy who was waiting for that big home run, right? Everyone wants a clutch late inning game. If you're going to sit here and tell me that his early in the game home runs don't count, you can't also tell me that a walk-off against the team that we needed to win against at that time also doesn't count. And like the second everyone started saying he had his moment, like his first true moment as a Yankee, everyone said, yeah, well, do it for me in the playoffs. The fucking guy hasn't even played a playoff game for the Yankees. And you're already discrediting his walk-off home run just now. Like, that's how much people hate him. So you'll never win. He'll never win.
No, he won't. I mean, you just got to keep putting his name in the lineup, and eventually, maybe they'll never like him, but maybe he can shut a few people up.
Yeah.
And that's all you can
and just stay healthy. You want to suck on the field and not come through clutch? I'd rather that than being hurt. Because being hurt, at least there's too many question marks. If you're going to suck, just suck. And then we'll say you suck.
I would rather, if he's going to suck, I'd rather him be hurt. Because at least then people will forget that he's around.
I just meant for argument's sake.
I don't have to listen to it every friggin' day about what a bust he is. And
yeah, but you hear it anyway. That it's almost like he wants to be hurt.
You see the Yankees gave out number 22? I don't know who's wearing it right now. Yeah.
They didn't retire for Ellsbury?
Who's wearing 22 right now?
I did see that too. I did see it also.
Why don't you talk about something? For
I'm
like 30
shocked they
seconds?
didn't. I'm shocked they didn't retire it. I'll bring up the shirt again. We're coming up with a summer camp themed shirt that's going to drop on Friday. Head to, it's not out yet. We're going to tweet it out. Head Friday morning to NYYSportstalk.com/shop. This is an exclusive promo code to anyone who listens to the show. NYYST pod at checkout. It will save you 30%. And I made it official right now in my head. Also going to throw in free shipping. No one else will get that deal but people who listen to this show. Spread the word. Use that promo code. And again, Friday morning, I'm going to have that shirt up there. So check it out.
Well, so much for going to the Yankees official team app, because whoever's wearing 22 isn't important enough to be listed.
Maybe it was like the bullpen catcher.
No, he was playing in the game.
Seriously, I don't even want to see that number on the field right now. It used to be my favorite number. I used to wear 22 growing up. I loved Roger Clemens.
I don't know. It'll come. Somebody will mention it. If tweet us at NYY Sports Talk if you know who's wearing 22. Obviously, it's nobody super important, or else they'd be listed on the roster page. Real quick to wrap up the show here. By the time we record again, the Yankees will already have played 3 exhibition games, 2 against the Mets, Saturday at Citi Field, Sunday at Yankee Stadium, and then 1 against the Phillies Monday at Yankee Stadium. All games are on YES. I believe Saturday and Sunday are 7 o'clock, and then Monday is 6 o'clock. Monday is going to be interesting because Joe Girardi will be back, which be weird, seeing him in a Phillies uniform at Yankee Stadium. And I believe unless something happened to him, Didi Gregorius should be here. And I do, since we were talking about shortstops, I want to take up for Didi for a minute. And it might sound like I'm talking about out both sides of my ass here, where the Yankees I wanted Didi back, but I can see why the Yankees didn't sign Didi. It's not a make or break kind of thing when you have LeMahieu and Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
But a lot of the Yankee fans out there that are like, Didi wasn't really that good.
Come on.
Come on, guys. Like, seriously. You got to look deeper into than your analytics here. You understand what Didi Gregorius was faced with here.
Yeah. I mean, the shoes he filled, and again, we talk about everyone only remembers what happened last. And the guy just never...
He wasn't right last year.
Yeah, he just never found it last year. You know, I'm not saying he rushed back, but he came back from an injury that most guys wouldn't come back in that amount of time because he worked his ass off. And maybe he would have benefited from taking a little more time to get ready, but he just never looked the same last year. And that's what people remember most.
Oh, he's whatever. I don't even know what people are citing, but all I know is that I watched this guy struggle because he thought he had to be the next Derek Jeter. And I forget who, maybe it was Girardi, it could have been somebody else, told him, we don't need you to be the next Derek Jeter. We just need you to be Didi Gregorius. And that's when it kind of clicked, and he became an incredibly popular player, a great clubhouse guy, a guy that he came up with a lot of big hits. He played a really good shortstop. You couldn't ask for a better transition from a guy like Derek Jeter than you got with Didi Gregorius. And it was almost like how it was with Tino Martinez after he had to fill Don Mattingly's shoes, where Tino thought he had to beat Don Mattingly, but he only had to beat Tino Martinez, and that was more than enough. Just like, Tino's got 3 rings or 4 rings. No, he's got 4, right? 96 and then the 3-peat. He's got 4 rings there. Didi, unfortunately, doesn't have any, but it's the same scenario where you're replacing a bona fide legend, and in Didi's case, a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you're not really a superstar yourself.
No, I agree. I really agree. By the way, it's Chris Iannetta.
Oh, okay.
So...
I mean, we could see Chris Iannetta. Him and Tolley are probably fighting for that 3rd catcher spot.
Who?
Josh Tolley.
I think Iannetta.
And I know neither name really jumps off it.
Yeah, but Ionnet is a little more established, I'd say.
Speaking of former Mets or current Mets, Jake DeGrom had to leave his start on Tuesday night with a little back issue.
Who?
Jacob DeGrom.
Oh boy.
So Rojas was on with Joe Benigno today, and he said that they didn't really see anything too concerning, but when you don't want to see a guy like Jacob DeGrom go down this close to the season. I mean, in a short season, you're looking to really hone in on watching the stars of the game, and Jacob DeGrom is one of the stars of the game.
Yeah, not only that, but just for the Mets themselves. I mean, you have a 60-game season, and your biggest case is that you have Jacob DeGrom, the best pitcher in baseball, leading the way. You can't afford for him to be hurt. I mean, he's got to make all of his starts. If you want to be a serious contender, which I truly believe the Mets can be, he has to make every single one of his starts.
Yeah, I agree. And just to put a bow on the Didi thing, I think fans, I hate taking the fans to task, but I think some of them are a little outrageous in the way they just think about things. Like, yeah, Didi was not good last year. But guess what? When he nearly hit that grand slam in the ALCS,
yep.
If he hit, I mean, you might be talking about something different if that ball goes over the wall. That was against Garrett Cole, right? That game?
I believe so.
So, I don't know, man. Like, I'm going to miss Didi. I really am. I mean, he had an infectious personality. You love seeing him out there. He was kind of a glue guy. And with CeCe gone, you're missing two glue guys out of that clubhouse. Although, people are saying how weird it would, that maybe that stuff doesn't mean a lot this year because of social distancing and everything. But it still does to me. It still does. And, I would have liked to see Didi come back, but I get why he's not here. Gleyber Torres is a burgeoning, budget, whatever the word is. I can't think of it right now, but you guys know he's a budding superstar. There we go, budding superstar. DJ LeMahieu was a top 5 MVP candidate last year, so you're covered at those spots.
Yeah. That's my biggest gripe with analytics. I think you just hit it right on the head. Like, the beauty of baseball, the reason why I love baseball so much, is because of the things that you can't quantify. Like, Didi wasn't just great for this team because of any statistic you can put on a piece of paper. Like, you have to look beyond that. You can't just look at Baseball Reference and tell me what kind of a player Didi was or what he meant to the team. And that's what everyone does. We'll never have a guy anymore who, from top to bottom, unless you're a guy like Mike Trout, which comes in, into play once in a lifetime, the kind of stats he puts up. Unless you're a guy like that, you're always going to go out and people are going to say, he was okay. He was pretty good.
Mike Trout was pretty good.
Mike Trout is the exception, man. That if anyone came up to me and told me that Mike Trout was not a phenomenal baseball player, I would never take that person seriously for the rest of my life.
All right. Well, we hope you take this seriously. Go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review. We'll say it again one more time. Follow us on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. Unless Chris has got anything else he wants to say, I think we can wrap up the show.
I'm good.
Why don't you drop that code one more time in case anybody missed it?
Head to Friday morning. Actually, I'm going to make the promo code active right away. So by the time you're listening to this, the code will be active. The shirt won't be up until Friday morning. NYYST Pod. It will last the entire season for anyone who listens to the show. No one else will get that code. NYYST Pod at checkout will save you 30% and free shipping on your entire order for the entire season. So head there whenever you want. New shirt coming Friday. Check out our Garrett Cole Bebe shirt, which has been our top seller. And let's get it. We're a week away.
Yeah, we're a week away. We're hopefully Stat Guy Ride comes off assignment and works on our hype video, so that's ready to go Thursday morning. We'll be back next Wednesday night to record for you guys to listen to leading into opening night. Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer, the tentative pitching matchup. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No.
You just got to keep your fingers crossed, man, that we cross this next week without any major hiccups. And, we'll be back next week to kind of preview the season a little bit and get you guys hyped up. But that should be, that's next week. Thank you for listening to episode 184, the NYYST podcast. Go to Twitter, follow us at NYY Sports Talks. That guy, Rye, enjoy your assignment. Whatever it is you're doing, you're bluing it up, buddy.
Blue
And
chewing it
Chris,
up.
say goodbye.
Peace.